When Kevin Young got the head coaching job at BYU, he brought with him some new approaches and new job titles, among them a BYU men's basketball chief of staff. And for that role, he brought in someone with a unique perspective on both the collegiate and professional ranks to help navigate the waters in the new look world of college hoops. Please welcome in BYU men's hoops chief of staff, Doug Stewart. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Greg.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Yes.
Coach, all right. Good stories.
Yep.
Did you see the John Linehan piece just now?
I did. That was tremendous.
Isn't that awesome?
That was tremendous. I didn't grow up too far from there. And then when we were coaching in the Sixers organization, that was the backyard of a lot of places where we were.
So I mentioned, of course, we saw John played at Providence. Not a lot of folks, maybe some do, some don't know, that Brown is in the city of Providence, and you played for Brown, and were part of that staff, and we were back in your old stomping grounds, too, this past week.
Yeah, double homecoming we had. Brown University is kind of up on the hill. They call it the East Side. Then there's the downtown Providence area, and then where Providence College is just, probably a mile from there. So it's a nice community. They really did the downtown nice. When I was there as a student and athlete, we kind of stayed up there. And then I came back to Brown as a coach. And then the downtown was redone. I met my wife there, and a lot of good history there.
Nice to be back, wasn't it?
It was great.
The outcome for BYU wasn't what you wanted, but it was nice to see guys with connections. We got into the old gym there for a practice at Brown as well.
Yeah, that was a lot of memories. I got to talk to the current head coach and some of the assistants, and got an idea of where they are now, where they're trying to get to. And, it's all about trying to help these student athletes and put them in positions to be successful. And, at Brown, you had a lot of academic responsibilities as well. So,
in the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had to learn how to balance your schedule.
Coach, you already mentioned the fact that you were together in the past. Maybe you could talk about that connection that brought Doug here when you got this job.
Yeah, so Doug and I worked together. He was on my staff when I was the head coach for the Sixers G League team for a season. Long-time college coach. We had that 1 year together on the pro side. He went back to the college ranks. But as I was doing my research and talking to a lot of different people, felt like there was a need for somebody that his title is with this chief of staff that can kind of overlook. For me, it's a multifaceted thing. I use it really for two main reasons. One, he's more or less like a coaching consultant for me, kind of oversees and looks at the big picture of how our whole operation is going on a coaching side, but then does a lot of stuff in the NIL space, which he had some years of experience kind of on the admin side and financial side at Nevada. And so his background was super unique and honestly kind of tailor-made for this role that we have him in.
Yeah, a great mixed background in both the administration part and the X's and O's part. Oregon State, Nevada as a coach and administrator, and Tulane, all coaching stops for you.
Yeah, no, it was coaching takes you to a lot of different places. You got to get up and ready to go. And it was funny when I was coaching at Brown, I was close to getting engaged with my wife. Like, she's probably listening now, but maybe a year off. And then we get this coaching job 3,000 miles away. So I kind of say, hey, something where you'd want to come out and maybe find a job or work out there so we could still hang out. And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. I'm like, oh, then the pressure shifted to me. And then I was like, I've got to get my stuff together. So shortly after that, we got engaged and moved out there. And coaching has given us a lot of opportunities from in Nevada and down in New Orleans at Tulane and with Coach with the Sixers in the Ivy League. But after COVID, I had this chance to get into academic or athletic administration. And I was like, wow, stuff was still in flux in college and all over the place, quite honestly. The opportunity to get back to a place where I had success. I was there with Eric Musselman, and he's had some stops since then where he's been successful. And it was great to see that other side of how it worked. And I was like, man, when I was a head coach, I should have been more in tune to some of this stuff with our boosters, with our admins, with our fundraising teams, and seeing that firsthand. And then when Coach and I were talking a little bit about this opportunity, I'm like, wow, this is a side that I think I can really help us dial into, in addition to the basketball side and working with our student athletes to put them in the best possible positions to be successful.
It's still relatively new for you, but do you feel like it's the fit that you were envisioning?
Yes. I mean, it's wow, each day it has its own identity here, and we're installing things and getting players ready for games, making sure they're academically right, just holistically making sure they're in good positions. Coach really does a great job of having that big picture, and obviously the basketball piece is what we do day to day, but making sure our guys are in really great positions off the court as well. But it's neat. I'm almost in every meeting that we have. I'm not running the meetings. A lot of times I'm just listening in the meetings and add my 2 cents in there. And then afterwards we have some mini meetings with our staff to make sure that we're all on page to follow through what Coach wants.
So Doug is the chief of staff, and Kevin put the staff together. Let's meet the rest of this staff. We're going to throw some pictures up on the screen for those who are in studio and at home about the rest of this coaching team. We're going to start with the assistants. These are the actual full-time assistant coaches. And the first assistant coach we're talking about is Will Voigt. A few highlights up on the screen. Again, each coach will have a few highlights, not their entire career, but Coach Voigt is, I don't know if you say right-hand man or not, but he's certainly one of the guys you really lean on.
Yeah, no, I've known Will for years. We coached against each other when we were both in the G League. Really smart guy. He's a very accomplished coach. He's coached in multiple Olympic games. He's kind of known for being a defensive thinker. Really creative, and those are some things that were interesting to me when we brought him on board. Okay,
next assistant coach, Brandon Dunson, came out of Stanford.
Yeah, Brandon's he's a star. He was my first hire. Extremely bright. I think there's a lot of similarities to the way Stanford operates and the way that BYU operates, and so he's been able to help bridge the gap. Extremely good recruiter and just has an unbelievable feel for how things operate.
And then a guy that has been at BYU before in Chris Burgess.
Yeah, Burge, similar to Brandon, he was a quick hire for me. His previous experience at BYU was really interesting to me. Just kind of understanding how BYU operates and the unique nature of it. He's been extremely helpful. I mean, him and Brandon both, I talk a lot about their experience and how much that's helped me on the sort of the non-basketball side, but both of them extremely, extremely bright basketball coaches and really wear, a lot of hats.
Another coach with professional and international experience in Tim Fanning.
Yep, so Tim and I worked together also with the Sixers organization. Was over in Europe for a long time, was with Maccabi Tel Aviv, one of the premier clubs in Europe. He's dialed in with a lot of the things over in Europe, both on the recruiting side, but on the tactical side as well. He's kind of a mad scientist of sorts with some of the tactician type stuff, and really unique guy. And he's really enjoyed his time here in Utah.
And then the coach we got to know with the Deep Blue feature in John Linehan.
Yeah, we talked about JL. I mean, he's got great energy. He's a guy that brings it every day. Great experience as a player and as a coach. Like you see there, a lot of our coaches have coached really, really high-end players, and that's something that I think is really attractive when we're out on the recruiting trail.
All right, so 5 main assistants, and now we go to the Fab 5 directors. You have 5 separate directors with certain specialties. We're going to throw all 5 up on the screen at the same time and mention that they are Nate Austin, the operations director. Of course, Nate, a favorite of mine, played at BYU, one of the all-timers here at BYU as far as I'm concerned. He was outstanding, whether offensive rebounding, just getting up and answering the bell, games played leader. Nate runs operations. Jordan Brady is your player development director. You see Akash there over analytics and strategy. Your brother Justin is the recruiting director, and Danielle's been brought in as the nutrition specialist.
The Fab 5. I like the Fab 5. No, I mean, we got a really, really robust staff with people that have really high-end experience. Jordan and Akash have both spent time in the NBA. Nate is probably the most valuable player on the whole operation. My brother's got 20 years of experience on the recruiting side and is dialed in as anybody across the country. Then Danielle also coming from the NBA. Her and I were together for 4 years with the Suns, and she's a star. I mean, our guys have really early. She just got here a couple months ago, and all of them have already said how impactful she's been and what we're trying to do. And I think to Doug's point, I strive really hard to make our player development program as robust as it can be, and we try to get people who are elite at their craft so that our guys can be the best versions of themselves, and she's a huge part of that.
And to that end as well, I want to mention head athletic trainer Rob Ramos and player performance, strength and conditioning, and coach Michael Davey, they call him Wiz. And I also want to bring up the pictures of the grad assistants, and these are 7 pretty special people as well. We're going to go 4 and 3, I think, on these. You have from France, Clement Racco. You've got the man they call Juice, Jordan Woodson. You got another great former Cougar player. Man, I love this guy, Charles Abuo, and Kyle Sturdivant, who was at Georgia Tech as a player.
Yeah, no, we have a really good group of graduate assistants. That was something we put a lot of time, energy, and effort into that this summer. Those guys are in the trenches with our players on a day-to-day basis, and our coaches for that matter. And those guys get a lot done, and probably don't get nearly enough credit. And they're a huge part of what we do.
And you saw their picks at the end: Andy Westman, Drew Marotra, and Nick Maines. That wraps up the grad assistant group. Doug, as the chief of staff, that's a good staff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? When Coach and I kind of were brainstorming things originally, when he got hired, we were thinking, like, how do we want to put this together? And really, the idea of an NBA front office template was something that just kept coming up, and Coach had that experience and really kind of hammered home, like, that's what we should do, and we definitely agreed on that. And each person that's on in each job on our staff and our support staff and our GAs, like, there's attention to detail in everything that they do. It's really helped us in recruiting as well. So we've been able to tell recruits and their families to say, hey, they'll be with us this period of time, and when they're not with us, they'll be with our GAs, and their meals and their sleep patterns with Danielle, their strength and conditioning with Wiz, our academic people are first class as well. So every portion of their day has specific detail towards making them the best versions of themselves, and opportunities to play after BYU from there. But really, that NBA front office template was how we kind of looked at things, and the attention to detail that each person can bring into our current players and to our recruits has been a really attractive kind of outline.
Yeah, and and I don't know if you mentioned, but another guy is Craig Manning. You know, he's
mental strength.
Yeah, he's unbelievably valuable. And you talk about recruits. When the recruits come with their families and they get a chance to meet with Doc Manning, I mean, he's as powerful of a storyteller as anyone that we have, based on his experience, his background, and his expertise.
Yeah, great note and a great staff summation.